So I will first show you some screenshots. So this is jpoker, and this is what I will talk about. So it's a poker client, and I will explain why we've done it. We've done a web poker client because it requires no download, and because everybody can access the client since everybody has a browser. Because we can use a URL to point to turn or table, because we are in the web, because browser is good at displaying 2D, so targeting the browser for 2D poker clients makes sense, and it's easy to customize, because you can change images and you can do some CSS. So the project history is that it started with an Ajax hack, which was just displaying images and logs about what is going on the poker server. Then Loic Dachary took over the development, and from there, 4 companies have funded development and customization of the client. So how does it work? It polls the poker server using HTTP request. The server reply with JSON packet, and then from that JSON packet, it decides to hide or show HTML element, or to craft new or to update existing HTML element. And when you click a button, like a regular input, it sends JSON back to the server. So how is the table displayed? Is fixed position divs with skin with dynamic image and text. And you can see here, the default skin looks like that. So each image you see here is a div, and it's all being animated with CSS. So there is also not only the table, but also the lobby, which is good as displaying table list, tourney list, user info, cache, the amount of money you have, and search box for searching for a particular table or player. So this is how the widget looks like. So this is for editing user information. This is just a regular forms. And this is a tournament lobby, when you can see what is going on. There is a tournament, and with only one player. Obviously, it's fake, and he has won, so he has this prize. And this is the regular list of table when you can click to join. So when we are doing a web app, so we've seen it's great to target the web for poker client, but there is also drawbacks. There is the cross-browser issue, because you have many different JavaScript implementations, many different CSS implementations, and debugging it, for example, in Internet Explorer could be a mess. So we had to add some code in order to be able at least to print a stack trace on each browser. So for that, for dealing partially with cross-browser issue, we are using jQuery, because there are tons of existing plugins. It helps a lot with cross-browser issue, and there is a nice API. Here you can see how we are binding the quit element when clicked to send a packet to the server. But thanks to jQuery chain, we can also say that we want to add a CSS class when override and define the markup for the button here. And for helping also with cross-browser issue, we do a lot of tests. So currently, jpoker is like 5,000 line of code, but there is twice as that line of test, like 10,000 line of tests. There is 300 independent tests, and they provide 100% coverage on the code base. So this is how the test runner looks like. So you have mini tests, and you look that the scroll bar is only at the beginning. And this is the coverage report, which is outputted by GS coverage. And this is a regular jQuery test runner, which is called QUnit. And here you can see that we have 100%. But obviously it's an old version, because there are only 2,000 lines of code. For debugging, we rely on Firebug. It allows to browse the DOM state in live, to break into JavaScript code, to watch JavaScript variables, and it also provides an interactive JavaScript console as well as live editing of DOM of CSS. So this is how does it look like. When I focus on a particular element, I can edit the CSS. So it's very well integrated into the browser, and we are happy to have a Firebug to help us to develop jpoker. So about the layout, you've seen that there is a lot of fixed position elements. For bootstrapping the layout, we relied on Inkscape. So we could place, using Inkscape, the element as images, and then export it to SVG and convert the SVG back to HTML and fixed position CSS, in order not to have to type fixed position for each element. So it does look like that. So here you have the default scheme, and you see that there is one element for each player, and this is SVG. We run a small Python script on it, and it gives back to us the position of the element in CSS. So for skinning, we add image on existing HTML element using CSS, and we also have skin test case, because when you are doing a game, it could be difficult to reproduce every game scenario possible. Because if you want, for example, to display something special when two players are all in, you have to log in two players, create a game, and having them to put all their chips, and then being in the all-in situation. And for that, we have skin test case, which are just faking the server and sending the client to sending the packet to the client, so we don't have to do manual click to go in a particular situation. So that's also helped to deal with cross-browser visual issue. So you can fire the same test case on many browsers and see if visually it looks the same. Oh, whoops. What? So this is the bad images, sorry. So for integration, jQuery is just a set of jpoker is just a set of jQuery plugins. So for displaying the table, you just hook on a div and say, I want to display the table. If you want to display a tournament list, you hook on a div, which is a container, and say that you want to display the tournament list. It's only a JavaScript file, so it could go in a single HTML page. If you want to replace the content, for example, you click on a table in the table list and you want the table to display, you can just replace the container by the table. Or it could also have link and point to it support permalink. So if jQuery, if a web page is open and jpoker is included in it, it looks at the URL, and if there is a game ID in it, it can start joining automatically the table and display it. For integrating into your website, you can override templates. So they are just JavaScript variable where you can put some HTML in it. If you want to have a different DOM structure, for example, for each row of the table list, you have a row template where you can put custom HTML. And you have callbacks. For example, if you want some JavaScript code to be executed when you are integrating with jpoker, for example, when someone clicks a table to join, you want to display a pop-up, say, are you sure do you want to join this table? You could do it using callbacks. There is also good support for internalization. We have translation in 12 languages. There are two kinds of translation, client-side and server-side. For client-side, we are using getText, and jQuery plugin, which is called jQuery getText, and we just have PO file which are translated into JSON and loaded immediately into the page. And for server-side translation, it's handled by the server, and we tell the server which local we have, and then the server, when you have to send us some string, translate them in the good language. So we can see all of it. So there are many contributors. There's Loic, who took over the project. That's me. That's Zach, who have done who is in this room, and I've done a lot of CSS work. There is Vincent G, who has contributed many graphics. There is Thomas Vessen, who has done some JavaScript work. There is Pierre Boulle. I know him only on IRC, so maybe I've misunderstood his name, but he has done a lot of work into Drupal integration. There are Shandan, who are working on PHP integration with jpoker, Ulrike, who do a lot of CSS work, and many companies, Outflop, Skyrock, Let's Poke, and Pokermania, who have funded custom development. So recent development there have been the recent development. These are the recent development into jpoker. We have way more skins now, which are only CSS and image file. There are also blocking polls implementations. Before that, jpoker was asking every 5 seconds to the server, is there something new? Is there something new? And when there were nothing, the server were just replied with an empty response. Now, jpoker is the connection is blocking until there is an answer from the server, so it reduces a lot the latency. There is animation. For example, when you win some chips, they go back to your player. There are some sounds. So we are just we convert some OGG file to SWF using some SWF tools, and then we insert the SWF into the DEM document and it just plays the sound. There is support for multiple windows. So you can have multiple sessions in multiple tabs if you want to play at more than a table than a time. And there is an open social gadget, which just is an XML file which embeds the jpoker code and allow to embed it in existing social network. And there is Drupal integration where Pierre has worked a lot, and it is relying on the open social gadget in order to integrate it into Drupal. So if you have any question, I will show you. I will just show you a video first because there are only been screenshots and it could be nice to have video. This is the homepage of the project. The license is HGPL v3. And if you have no more question, you can go. If you have more, after the question, you could go play on this URL if you want. I will just show you a video which is a skin case, which is showing all the elements of the game. So you can see. So this is a list of skin case. We click on it, and it simulates all the packets that we can receive from server. So you see the last stuff with animation. Okay, that's it. So we have 3 minutes left. So do you have any question? Yes. So the question is, do we support Internet Explorer 6? So yes and no. At the beginning of the project, there have been testing done in Internet Explorer 6, but we have not maintained that testing anymore. So the correct answer is I don't know. And the nicer answer will be that you could figure it out by just running the test suite in Internet Explorer. If there is some red, that means that it's not supported. Yes. Okay, so the question is, do we provide a ready-to-go stack for the client and the server? The short answer is no, we don't have cloudlets image yet for the whole stack. The nicer answer is yes, we have Debian packages for the server, for the client, and Fedora packaging as well. So the stable version is currently in Fedora and Debian and Ubuntu, and the latest unstable version is in our repository with all the animation stuff. But we have a building farm, packaging farm, which is providing ready-to-go debs and RPM for each distribution. But that's not the latest version is not pushed into Debian yet. Yes. It depends, because we don't maintain a website where a user can play. We just providing the software. So there is, when you go to this URL, you will see no user. But we are also selling services and development. And the biggest user base we have is on a website called Skyrock, which have like 200 and 500 users playing on the stable version. But I mean, that's just a customer running the same copy of the software. So Any more questions? So 1 minute left. Yeah.
How do you debug JavaScript in other browser than Firefox?
That's a very good question. What? Ah, oui, yes, sorry. How do you debug JavaScript into other browsers than Firefox? So SAC, we use SAC, which is in the in the room. We have a very good Internet Explorer debugging skill, and basically it's eased by the test because when we run the test, we first try to write a test that reproduces the issue that when we see a bug, and then we have a way to reproduce the error, and then we can even debug with alert and stuff because it's not difficult to put in condition to reproduce the bug when using test. Okay. So thank you.